Well, thank you so much for making time to join us again. It's been a busy week, so I'm going to go straight to the top stories we've read or seen this week. I will take you to those stories when we come back. Do stay with us. We'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back to what the papers are saying. So let me take outlets reported that matter when it broke and as it continues. So the Chronicle says JUSAC declares indefinite strike over cola. The new crusading guide JUSAC embarks on strike. Daybreak, judicial staff on strike over salaries. City Newsroom, justice delivery grants to a halt nationwide as JUSAC strike begins. And then we'll wrap up with that story with City Newsroom and says implement resilient, innovative approaches to tackle current labor unrest. This is Austin Gami speaking. Let's move away from the JUSAC strike and go to the payment of food supplies, and matters are rising, and start with the Daily Graphic. They say free SHS suppliers give NAFCO 2-week ultimatum. City Newsroom, free SHS, efforts underway to pay food suppliers, buffer stock speaking over there. And then finally on City Newsroom, settle debt owed food suppliers to save free SH program. That's the MP to government. Let's move on to some other stories making headlines this week and start with the story to do with the Energy Minister and the GNPC board chairman on issues on the sale of an oil field. Let's start with the Chronicle. It says, stop the GNPC and Petro SA deal, minority charges in Apo. The Herald says Energy Minister knocks down Akufo-Addo family and Blay at GNPC saves Ghana $164.8 million oil asset from clandestine sale to South Africans. The Chronicle says offloading GNPC's 50% stake in deep water tunnel Petro SA deal is absurd, scandalous. Minister Napo whines in a strongly worded letter to Jubilee House. The Chronicle says the multi-million-dollar Petro SA deal, Freddie Blade dreads dismissal, but insists he won't resign. Still with that story, City Newsroom says Freddie Blade threatens to sue CSOs demanding his resignation. And still on City Newsroom, GNPC CEO Freddie Blade must be given fair hearing on Petro SA deal. Pearl Post speaking over there. We'll move to the Kumewu by-elections and MPP internal elections. Daily Graphic says by-election, MPP's Enim wins Kumewu. The Chronicle says MPP wins Kumewu seat in violence-free by-elections. They find that Enim NPP secures 70.9% landslide victory. Daily Graphic says our 2024 victory starts in Kumewu, President Akufo-Addo. The anchor says MPP floors NDC again after tabletop results coalition at Kumewu. City Newsroom, Kumewu by-election, Mahama congratulates Kwesi Amankwa and Ernest Enim. Let's move away from that story and take you to a rather sad one we've had this week to do with the closure of St. Anne's Hospital over utility bills, which led to the death of 2 children. We start with the City Newsroom. St. Anne's Hospital, 2 babies dead, 3 in critical condition over power cut. City Newsroom again, St. Anne's Hospital made no attempts to pay 4.8 million CD debt. This Netco speaking. And finally, on St. Anne's, Daily Graphic says Damongo Netco restores power to St. Anne's Hospital. We move to another story where CJ Kwesi Nyebua has retired. Tomorrow we'll have the vetting of the next CJ. Let me give you how the various media outlets have. Nyebua retires ahead of vetting tomorrow. Has company laws corrupted justice? Get to talk on you for Ghana. That's the question Maze and Koma has asked. The finance says Nyebua is an exceptional CJ. That's Akufo-Addo speaking there. City Newsroom again, Justice Eni Yeboah officially retires, Justice Doche takes over. And finally, on City Newsroom, Chief Justice nominee Gertrude Tokonu to be vetted on May 26. Let's wrap up with deplorable roads in the country and matters arising from that and go to City Newsroom. Construction of Koforidua Township roads resume. MyJoyOnline.com, commuters, traders stranded on deplorable Amenfi West roads. So those are some of the big stories that have been reported this week. Let me introduce the two gentlemen I'll be having today's discussions with. I have with me Samuel Atamensa. He's here with us at City FM and City TV. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
And I also have with me Selom Adonu, also here with us at City FM and City TV. Selom, welcome.
Thank you, Vivian.
Right. So it's been a pretty busy week. It looks like it's going to be busy till the weekend. I'll start with JUSAC because what is happening with JUSAC is affecting all of us in terms of justice delivery and all that. But the question I want to ask, if you look at the matters around JUSAC, is perhaps we could have prevented the strike we're seeing JUSAC declaring. Selom, you are in the courts. You have to go and deal with people who will need your service to deal with their freedom, human rights, and all that. How has it been for you? Today, nothing happened. People were turned away. Were you in court today?
Yes, I was supposed to have been in court today, but because of the strike,
you didn't bother to show up.
I didn't.
Did you have a case?
I had a case today at the divorce and matrimonial side. Okay. In fact, my client was so bent on going to court that he went there. I was in the office. I said, when you go in there, they just called me because I knew you were not going to come. And so he went. He came back and said they didn't come. So that was it. So the JUSAC matter, of course, could have been avoided or could have been solved long before. But, I mean, that's how a lot of our problems are, especially on the labor front. You know, many years ago, someone told me that government normally will not give you what you want. You have to really push for it. It's unfortunate, but that is how it's become. The JUSAC matter is quite peculiar because JUSAC, finds itself among a group of people whose salaries necessarily must be determined by the president with counsel or advice from the Judicial Council, according to Article 149. Other workers in the public sector, they negotiate and they get things done on their own. And so we have this tripartite committee which, periodically announces increments in salary or conditions of service. In the case of the persons that JUSAC represents, which includes some circuit court judges and then magistrates, it's really not like that. The president must make the determination. So by some convention, they came to a place where the determination is made every 2 years. So the last time such a determination was made was in 2021, and so 2022, and then 2021, 2022, they were in that. 2022 was very difficult. Inflation went up. A lot of things went bad. So government came up with COLA. So COLA gave, was it 10 or 15% of the basic salary to everybody? 15% in that bracket. So JUSAC also benefited from that. The COLA was suspended in, December 31 into the new year. So JUSAC got its COLA suspended. The others had 30% salary increment to make up for that. But JUSAC was left with zero because their negotiations hadn't concluded, and so the president hadn't approved of their new conditions of service. So as we speak, JUSAC is without any increment. And their point is that things have gone up and they are left at zero. They went through a negotiation, did everything with the Judicial Council, etc., and then presented the recommendations or the document to the presidency. And the president, the presidency hasn't responded to them, they say, and attempts to get the president to look at it or respond to them, they also say, those attempts haven't really been fruitful. So not much has happened. So they sent reminders. They even wrote to the Labour Commission that if this is not responded to, on this day they were going to declare strike in line with the law. So the NLC, the National Labour Commission, quickly organized a meeting between the Finance Ministry, Labour Ministry, Chief of Staff for the Presidency, the management of the Judicial Service, and then JUSAC So Judicial Service attended, JUSAC attended, but the key players, government, etc., were not at the meeting. So their point was that the NLC, which was supposed to be the arbiter and so should be neutral, was actually seen at the meeting holding brief for government and trying to explain away why government was not at the table, that government has been busy the past weeks, etc.
IMF and all that.
Which may be understandable, but JUSAC thought that it shouldn't be in the place of the commission to be offering those explanations for government. Government should be able to do that on its own. So May 24, that meeting didn't happen. They went, it didn't happen. They rescheduled. They wanted a shorter time, but NLC insisted that it should be 24th, which was, I think, is it today or yesterday? Which is today. Yesterday. So yesterday, they went for the meeting. Nothing really happened. The person who was sent to the meeting, according to them, was someone who didn't even appreciate the issues, because he did not pair the person's responses. The person didn't have any answers. So their intended strike had to kick in. So they announced officially that they were going to embark on an indefinite strike. So the strike has raised a number of issues. Key amongst them is that, justice delivery obviously is suffering. So if you are somebody in police custody and then you are supposed to be given bail or sent to the police station, to the court for remand or bail, the police, normally they will say they are still investigating, so they will not grant you bail. By the dictates of the Constitution, you don't have to be in custody for more than 48 hours. So the police, having finished with their investigation, they have to take you to court for the court to remand you or the court to grant you or admit you to bail. In this case, what would the police do? They've not finished investigation, so they cannot grant you police inquiry bail. So does it mean that you are going to remain in custody, which is in flagrant disregard of your rights? That's one. There are critical things done at the courts. It means that in this whole period, nothing can happen. For example, I have court tomorrow. My client will have to travel over the weekend. The person has to be in the box to be cross-examined. Here's a case they are on strike. We're hoping that she will finish that tomorrow and travel. So it means that this strike would have, distorted the person's arrangement. So I was to get back to her this evening to say, we'll go or we will not go. Obviously, we cannot go because the strike is still on. So these are the difficulties or the issues that the strike, is causing. It's also important to look at the conditions of service of the JUSAC guys, because they work in a very tempting environment. Justice delivery, there are all manner of persons who come around wanting to influence them so they can influence things. If they are not well taken care of, they become susceptible to some of these influences, and that is not very good. It becomes a breeding ground for corruption, etc. And I don't think it's a good thing.
Okay, well, we'll come to that, but let me bring in Samen. He's been patiently waiting. You come in. This is a very essential service, the services they are providing. If you watch CNR today, people had, cases that in certain cases were getting their rulings today, but have to wait and don't know their fate and all that. Couldn't we have prevented this? Is somebody not seeing that this is a critical, space that you cannot leave it to go that way with all that is happening?
This sounds like a trick question.
No, it's a very harmless one, I promise you.
I think most of these strike actions can be prevented. I must say, can be prevented. But it all boils down to managing our resources as resource allocation. And so the fact that it happened is not an indication that somebody is ignoring them necessarily. I think that is just a matter of you want it, we don't have it, or you want it, we don't have it now. We probably might have half of what you're asking for. But then, the body language of the kind of bargain that you engage them with is of the essence.
Yeah, in this case, they didn't even show up at all for the meetings. One
of the meetings. Yeah, but there may be a reason that's not justification. There may be a reason that we don't know. But my point is that yes, it could have been avoided, but as Salom has rightly broken down the elements of this whole situation, I would put myself in the place of these JUSAG guys and say, look, they just run out of options. They run out of options, and if it starts biting the nation, somebody would have to do something about it. And I'm sure that is going to happen sooner than later.
Hello.
Yeah, so the Judicial Secretary issued a statement today trying to call for ceasefire and trying to say that some meeting has been arranged between the Finance Ministry and the striking parties, the Judicial Service, etc. And so trying to say that they should call off the strike. I've not heard from the JUSA guys, but their demeanor or the way they have approached this matter appears like they are not, I mean, they want to see something concrete, or the assurance must really be concrete before they call off the strike. So that really is where we are. I don't know when this can happen. I was hoping that by close of day today, they will have some assurances. So maybe by tomorrow or Monday, I mean, things can resume.
But realistically, I mean, how do we navigate this period of economic hardship and trying to satisfy workers, especially public sector workers, when we're finding it difficult to, deal with our economic challenges? We're still dealing with this IMF thing. Only 600 million has come in. Yet there's a need to increase salaries, well, and there's no money.
It's a tough balance. It's a delicate balance, but you have to do it because, I mean, how much are these guys paid? And the economic situation is quite bad. Inflation is skyrocketing. People think the official inflation figures we have, are not even the reality on the ground. Interest rates have gone up. A lot of these guys who get pay slip from controller, they use it for loans and fees. So sometimes by the time the salary comes, a huge part of the money is gone, and all of that. Now you were cushioning them with some cola. That cola is off, and so they are left with nothing. Their counterparts in other sectors of the public service have a 30% increase. I think something could have been done about this. One of the proposals they made was that, okay, let the cola remain whilst we negotiate. So that when we finish, you take the cola off and then you let the negotiated percentage or whatever apply. But that was not really taken into consideration. I know, but you are doing it and you've given their counterparts 30%.
Money is finished.
But it's a delicate balance. So now you have a choice between increasing their salaries or their conditions, bettering their conditions of service, and now justice grinding to a halt. It's a very difficult thing, and governments really are voted into office to solve problems. It's a difficult one, but we must find a way of solving it. In fact, it could be negotiated. You could negotiate it and maybe defer it. You can do a lot of things. Everybody knows things are tough, but there could always be a way around it. I think my difficulty is with how they've made it appear, or maybe how government has not been empathetic, or government has not really responded to them. They said they've not had any acknowledgement from the seat of government, because it's a president who must act in this matter. They've not had any acknowledgement from the office of the chief of staff of the presidency that indeed your letter has come to us or your document has come to us. We are looking at to give us some time, etc. Nothing of that nature has happened, and so that for them is a difficulty. I thought if a thing like that came and some assurance was given that we'll look at it and we'll get back to you in due course, I'm sure something could have happened. And even as we're sitting here, a thing or two could have been said for government that indeed they've responded and they've promised to deal with you at this time. But now there's nothing. We have nothing to work with.
What do you think the way forward is on this matter?
Oh, I thought I said it. I said it already. I mean, something will give, because look, government cannot bear the difficulty that this thing is going to expose the country to. And Salom has made the point. People whose next steps in life all depend on the courts, and if the courts are not operating, is really going to be tight for everybody. I think they will meet them halfway, and it will be sooner than we would expect.
We hope tonight or by
it's serious. The drivers cannot work. The drivers who drive the judges to the court,
they also not work.
So the judges can work. The judges are the superior courts, High Court, Court of Appeal, Supreme Court, they can work. but they have to drive themselves to the court. And even when they get there, somebody must open the gate or the door for them.
Okay.
And those who open the door or the gates are on strike. For the security men are there, but they say they should just be there. And they should not allow people to enter.
Sure
This is the inconvenience that I was talking about. I mean, it spells inconvenience for everybody else. I mean, we saw the pictures from the courts. Nobody is there. Nobody is there.
Well, let's hope tonight or first in tomorrow morning, government comes in and deal with.
Wednesday.
Today is Thursday.
Yeah, so that's next week.
No, they're trying to see whether the JUSAC people will come for the meeting now. Because according to them, the effort to get them to sit down, the people just...
Well, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll come and look at another situation to do with money again. National Food Suppliers Association also has given buffer stock 14-day ultimatum to pay their monies owed them from 2022 all the way to this year. If not, to stop supplying food. That means children in SHS free senior high school will not be having food. We'll look at that matter as well and others. To stay with us, we'll be right back.
And just as was anticipated, day 4 has been long. But finally, we are at the Red Clay Studios. Exhausted, but excited. Because at 9 p.m., the night is still very young. We had quite the experience at the Red Clay Studios. With drummer and dance, with color and class, patrons were treated to reenactments of various folklore of the northern region. And the Caravanites would simply not be left out of the fun. Catch the ending part of day 4 of the Heritage Caravan Diaries as it happened at the Red Clay Studios every weekday on City TV.
Welcome back to what the papers are saying. My name is Vivian Lokko. I'm here with Samuel Tamens as well as Stella Madonu. Guys, let's come to the buffer stock matters with the National Food Suppliers Association. Now, they are saying since 2022, they've not been paid for supplies they've made to buffer stock. This year, nothing as well. It looks like we are struggling with the payment of everything, food, healthcare delivery. We'll come to another story to do with that. Judicial, everything. Thomas?
Yeah, you're right.
What's your thoughts on that? Are you giving up now?
No, you see, I mean, I find it's a sad situation, I must say, because a lot of these companies that are supplying the buffer stock are also working with borrowed money. And you know what that means, because if they have not been paid for over 1 year, is that correct?
1 year,
18 months. That's a long time. That's a very long time. It's like setting out to disable their businesses. That's what it means. Because after supplies, what happens? And you know buffer stock too, they do volume delivery supply. So probably they have cleared his entire warehouse to supply buffer stock, waiting for money, and 1 year,
18 months.
So no, I said so one and a half years,
6 months,
1.5 years, and you're still waiting. I mean, you've destroyed the people's businesses. You understand? But I honestly, I don't blame the buffer stock alone. I don't blame them. I mean, if they are going to do aluta, they should go to the finance ministry. Or is there education ministry?
Education ministry
and finance ministry. Yeah. They should go there. Because I have been on occasion seeing the buffer stock people sitting at the ministry also begging for the money. The buffer stock, the boss, you see the boss, he wants to go and chop MP somewhere. You know, and they are using this thing to disturb the man. He himself, he goes to beg, sits there at times 4, 5, 6 hours, begging so that they'll give him some of the money to go and pay. I mean, buffer stock by itself doesn't generate money. the nature of their operation, they don't generate money. It's like a conduit. So they are giving the money, they pay for the services provided by these. So if they are not getting the money from education ministry or finance through education to them, there's nothing they can do. So my advice to them, if they want to do Aluta, they should go to the supervising ministries.
Because the buffer stocks, the boss spoke today, he says they've dealt with education ministry, and education ministry too is waiting for finance ministry.
So the people should go there. They should go to education ministry and finance and go and see the way the pensioners do their thing.
Yeah.
You are going there, you hold flask.
Your chair, everything.
The chair, everything. They sit down, they'll be reading newspapers. So that when the minister is passing and sees you there, you feel bad.
But I mean, why should we get to this point? And essential
No, because we are a
commodity-
poor country, but want to live like we are rich. This is the problem.
Because food.
It's food, but it's planning, it's management, it's resource allocation. It's not just food. You understand? So somebody that determined, based on the policy, that we are going to do ABC. ABC has to be managed properly, measured, so that we can allocate resources. And this is where we find ourselves. And it's not, look, this is not a case in isolation.
Yeah.
This particular thing is not a case in isolation. We have seen it rear its head in different sectors
Every sector.
repeatedly. So it becomes cyclical. You know, you supply to buffer stock, you go and sleep. Unless the money is some money that how do you say it? Money that he just found on the floor. You transfer, and then you pay, and then you know that, Charlie, maybe in future they will pay me for my pension. When you supply that, you are waiting for the money for pension. Because the money is not going to come. I mean, where in the world would this happen? That you supply food and then you have to be paid after 18 months. And I'm not even
If
talking
you're
about
lucky.
you have to pay. They still have not been paid.
Yeah, that's if you're lucky. For the
And I
18.
think that the heat should go beyond buffer stock, because buffer stock, you can spend 1 week there, nothing will happen. They should go to the education ministry and the finance ministry, so that the people, because at times I pity the CEO of buffer stock. I'm telling you,
Because he's helpless and
Yes,
given
he's
the
helpless.
circumstances.
he's helpless. And guess who is supposed to be the beneficiary of the food that we buy? Our children in secondary schools. So if the next thing we are going to hear is that they will stop supplying
Yeah.
to buffer stock.
In 14 days, if
They'll stop supplying.
if they don't get their money.
And that's a big deal. That's a big deal. We should look at it again.
It's a very sad situation, and I think it speaks to the free SHS and what has been said many times, that it's a great policy, but it appears the implementation is problematic. It's about 5 or 6 years since we started running this program. Many people have called for a review. Indeed, the IMF itself has said that the program is not properly targeted. I don't see why, if my child is in secondary school and I can pay, the state will say by all means or by force I'll pay for you, but you cannot pay.
But the IMF today should have explained further. This political language thing is
they
also a
don't-
problem.
They don't get into
You
the-
want to say, go
they
understand
don't-
what
they
they
don't want to
mean.
get into
No,
the
I'm
politics.
saying that they should be black and white. That please stop doing ABC so you can do so.
No, I'm
and
sure
so.
they will tell them that, but of course they are
shouldn't
aware
tell
of
them.
the
They should
political
tell us so we
environment.
know that this is
The
what they're
thing is
supposed
that
to
we need help. Right now, it's not for us to say we need help. Everybody knows we need help. IMF has brought us money. Cote d'Ivoire, IMF has brought them money. We all need help. But you need help. You are going to borrow money from me. You want to use the money that you are borrowing from me to buy a Mercedes-Benz when I'm driving a Tico.
Yeah, that's the problem.
The
really.
thing is that we just cannot afford. At this point, we should admit that we cannot afford the free SHS in the manner that we are
It is
trying
now.
to do it.
Yeah.
We are not saying it's not good. It's a good thing, but we just don't have what it takes to do it the way we would have wanted to do it. So this is where we need a rethink. This is why we need a rethink.
But see,
We're not waiting for IMF to come and tell us. We know already. IMF, we know already. But we are stubborn.
Yeah. A lot of the things the IMF is saying, we know already.
know
Yes,
already.
we are just stubborn. We don't want to.
Yeah.
We think that we would have lost face if we admit that this part
this
didn't
thing
go
should be
well.
reviewed,
But
yeah.
think about the children. Think about the future of these children. And the pain that heads of second cycle institutions go through just to keep these children in school. It's become such a complicated thing to do, keeping children in school. You know, some are going out, you see a headmistress in town, in a market, bargaining for pepper. Then this is
Instead
a
of concentrating
headmistress.
on academics and managing the
academic
school,
and running the
now
school.
become like a market person, negotiating.
Then you see, they have something they do. There, some headmaster will call another headmaster. Oh,
you
me
have-
cook kakra,
yeah,
oh.
you have
Yeah,
this.
yeah, but say, best is some me
Yeah.
cook kakra.
Butter,
They are doing
that's-
butter, meko and gobi and things. Why are we doing this to
Butter.
ourselves?
Counter trading.
It's frustrating.
Goods exchange.
It's frustrating. An application of that is that now, so the children have no food really to
Yeah.
eat. So it's now taking the attention of the books to food. Now children are thinking of where to get the next meal, and that is a problem. In fact, it's even bigger than just the food. The infirmaries, they don't even have medicine, basic medicine for the kids when they go there. So when they go there, they have to be taken out of the school to a proper clinic or hospital because there is no money to run anything. All because of how we have intended or how we run the free SHS. I think we've come quite full cycle. We should be able to say that, okay, this has worked, this hasn't worked. I think the ego and the political arrogance and the fear that if we compromise the nature of the free SHS we have it today will go against us politically is what the problem is. You know, the program requires a review. Let's review it. Maybe no boarding or maybe boarding but for a certain kind of people, or if you can pay. Let's find a way. Let's just find a way. The way it is right now is not working. And things are getting more expensive. The numbers are increasing. And so we are actually digging ourselves into a ditch. And that cannot be the way to go. School feeding program, I think they are also, the cooks or caterers are still on strike. Now, this buffer stock guys too.
They've started paying,
you
but
know,
the amount they are paying is not
it's the
significant.
picture the optics are not great. I think we need to sit, shed the ego and get things moving properly. And the cascading effect of what they are doing to the food suppliers, 18 months. How do they maintain their staff or their workers? And these are people who also have families. So how are their families also going to survive? And worst of all, the statutory people, the GRAs and the SNIT, go after the suppliers because they must pay SNIT, they must pay, taxes, etc. It's not a very good situation. I think we need to really look at the free SHS and see what we can do. And these monies after 18 months will not be paid with interest. It will be paid like that to them. And the money would have lost value. And it's not really the best. We need to really rethink this free SHS thing.
Okay, unfortunately, I would have loved to go to a positive story and move away from the sad stories, but I have to take you guys to the next story to do with the St. Anne's Hospital, where this week 2 babies died because the hospital was in arrears and ECG, NETCO, had to cut, power supply to them. We're told they owe 4.8 million cedis. They've been in arrears for 13 years. The last time they paid was in 2012. And we're told the minister paid some, we don't know how much he's paid, the MP, Jinapo, paid some amount of money and the power has been restored. But it comes back to the same thing we are discussing about. How this happened for all these years, one, and which forced NETCO to put it off. And then now we quickly react and go and restore power and all that. Depressing.
These are symptoms of a country in crisis, really. Do I blame NETCO or ECG for their revenue mobilization drive? Not quite, because they also have targets, and the debt in the energy sector is so huge. Now we have IMF, and part of what we must be doing is to be reviewing or adjusting tariffs quarterly. So it's actually going to get worse. It's St. Anne's. It runs. People pay money when they visit the facility. I think they themselves must also find a way of paying small. You know, there is this thing about hospitals and educational institutions. You don't cut off their supplies, etc. I think moving forward, we should find a workable way of doing it. What happens in these health institutions normally is that when they get money, they try to sort themselves out first. Their allowances, there are other things that must be paid. So they pay those things before they deal with, you know, the other things. Electricity or power should be central. Without power, you cannot really run. And I'm not sure they don't take money when people come. They take money. I'm not sure it's for free. So I think it's management, resource allocation. And I'm not sure NEDCO told them to pay all every time. You can have an arrangement with them. This month we'll pay this. Be paying regularly. Everybody knows the situation. But to not to pay for over 13 months, 4.8 million for such a small hospital, that is a lot of money. And I'm not sure what the NEDCO guys could have done. They said they gave them, you know, a long rope. And
yeah, because they've not paid
to,
since 2012.
Yes. So, I mean, so it's sad.
Oh, that's 13 years.
Yes, 13
Not
years.
13
Not
months.
13 months.
13 years, 2012.
They've not paid
I thought I heard 2020.
No.
I thought I heard 2022.
2012.
So what were they doing?
Yes, that's
No,
the
so,
point.
so,
really?
so,
Yeah, since 2012.
I mean, so what were they doing?
13 years.
And because 4.8 for such a small facility
The
for 13
hospital
months, as I
itself,
was
from
thinking.
the background I have from our correspondent, it was being run by Christian Health Association of Ghana, and it was the Catholic wing that was managing it. And the government adopted the hospital because they were sending their people there for treatment. So government is supposed to take care of the operations, utilities, and all that, and then the what do you call the Catholic side to take maybe the payment of salaries and all that. So that component is where government hasn't been able to be so good with because of whatever reasons it is. So
I mean,
it's a serious
years.
issue.
I mean, it's I don't even know how to say, because I was wondering, 4.8 million for such a small facility,
13 years.
just for over a year. So it's 13 years. It now makes sense. How are they also expecting NEDCO
To run.
to run? So I mean, they can't tell me for the 13 years they were not making money. They may not make a lot of profit, but people make some payments. I think that some of these institutions must be responsible. It's unfortunate that people have died. Maybe some arrangements could have been reached. You know, the district assembly, the district health directorate, some arrangement could have been reached, so we don't get here. It's very sad when we hear things like this. I don't know what specifically happened before the kids died. I don't know whether they were in an incubator. They were I don't know what really happened, but it's quite very sad to have two kids.
Okay, before Zamen's comes in, let me announce the phone lines. You can send us a message on your thoughts on what we're discussing. The number is 020-444-7033. That's 020-444-7033. Okay, Zamen, it's pretty sad case over here. Comes back to what we've been saying the whole, evening on management and all that.
I don't know what interventions we can do in situations like this. They also
The IPPs are threatening.
Yes.
The independent power producers are also threatening.
They have operated in the past. I mean, hearing that apparently the hospital has not paid and within the area that they are located.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's why I will first of all question the decision by
the Christian Association.
Yes, you understand? See, that says that, okay, health institutions within this geographical area, government is going to pay 50% of your, something. If hospital the reality that they are not in a place where they can raise the money. Okay, so that we have to be clear on the realities on the ground.
Yeah.
Okay, if that is the case, let's devise another policy to meet them halfway, because you are not building the hospital in Damango because you want to make profit. You will not make profit. It's a social intervention, and at times it comes at a cost to the government. But leaving it this way will cost us more, because you are going to find out surrounding areas, and it's going to affect the what going to be affected. So I'm just saying that if they can't for 13
fully run it.
13 years. It could also be a managerial matter. It could.
Oh, there are possibilities, plenty. Of managers have come and gone, and none of them was able to raise enough money to pay electricity bill. We need to interrogate this further.
Yeah, so yes, very good point. But you see, what happens? I mean, I've had some experience in this.
Of course.
It does come. So proper management will require that. That there are first. What is left, they try to spread on matters like by health ministry. So my view is that they should have been able to, and maybe hiding behind this thing about educational facilities and health facilities, not to use prepaid meters or their lights shouldn't be disconnected and all of that.
Salon. See, health facilities, what I know, and I'm not an expert, is that this money and go and pay your own thing. And
that way.
just cut them off to solve the problem, because the problem is bigger than the electricity problem. It's we really need to address properly in a more holistic manner, because look, it's not only St. Anne's that is owing. I'm telling you, you do an audit, you run the
I think they quickly found some money from somewhere. I don't know to pay. So yes, it's a general problem that must be addressed.
and it's not just electricity; they are owing everywhere.
Water, everything,
supplies
food
and everything.
supplies,
Yes.
everything. So the money from wherever, from
It's a
the
symptom
point,
of a
where
country in
does
crisis.
it go? Where did all the money go? Where is everything?
It's the kind of way. I mean, the money is being used to do roads and things like, and the
roads
roads
are
people are
all bad.
complaining.
The contractors haven't been paid.
And
So
then
where did
we
anything
should
go to?
admit that we are a poor country.
Are we poor? We are.
To my heart.
But you with all the resources and yes, you have oil, you have everything.
But
Human
Angola
resource.
doesn't have more oil than we have.
You have human resource.
You have
Nigeria
human
doesn't have.
resource.
Yes, so it's a management problem,
What
isn't it?
is castle?
That we need to see let's not treat the hospital in Damango because goes to a hospital in Accra has options. If he goes to Mamprobi Polyclinic and it doesn't work, he's moving to Kolebu Polyclinic, or he's going down Zongo Junction. You understand? But Damango St. Anne's, if you don't get it done, where else are you going? Up to that responsibility and try and resolve this itself.
Gives up on some of the issues. He's tired. His work is tired. He's tired. And then you say, keep up the good work. Thank you. Then somebody who is also, you know, giving up says, what kind of country is this? Our leaders are just wicked. Prince Henry from Koforidua says, I'm begging Nana Mbawumia government to tax ECG to give us a timetable because there is Dumso. We need it to plan for our daily activities. The hide and seek Dumso is not helping and destroying our gadgets. Hashtag what. Thank you for those messages. It was expected that it's an MPP stronghold and they will and all that. Everything went well. 1 minute on your.
Attention is drawn to football. You know, two guys struggling for the ball, and they both try to push each other, and then one falls off, and then the referee gives the other one yellow card. People, everybody is paying. They say, hey, vote by. We are all doing this buying thing. When it suits us, we say, hey. When it doesn't suit, you know, let's learn from our past mistakes. People are forcing to be delegates, not because they love the country, because they know they will get free money to chop.
Yeah.
And two Jimmy rice.
Yes.
Two Jimmy rice.
Somebody wants to be delegate only because he knows that election time is time to milk the politicians.
Yeah. That's the time they make their money too.
And the whole country is depending on delegates to choose at the primaries the people before we will now come and, you know, the harm has already been done at the delegates level.
On the base level.
I am telling you, the way these delegates harass politicians, they harass proper. If you go to look, last week I was in Kumasi. If you see the way they harass, Selo, you weep for the people. So they will choose. They will do that. They just chose. MPP, NDC, they just chose John Mahama. Yeah. And the MPP too is coming. They will choose delegates. You will see the money that will flow. Yeah. Then the person who will lose, will come and say, hey, vote buying. Vote buying. Everybody is buying. And who is winning? The delegates are winning. Somebody is giving flat screen TV. Somebody is giving rice. Made in Ghana rice. The other, what do you call it? Two Jimmy rice. So this vote buy, I don't know what it means. I honestly don't know what it means. Because everybody is doing it anyway.
But I mean, we can't continue that way.
Well, it's something that has gotten worse from 1996 up until now. From 1996 till now, it's gotten worse in every election cycle. And it's now become the established way of doing things. That if you want to put yourself up for member of parliament, you need a minimum minimum 3 million to 4 million there you need. Not because you are using it for development, you are giving it to people. You are giving it to people to influence them, which people will take from you and take from your opponents. And then when they see you passing and you tefu or chiala, you understand? I have seen this thing. I saw some. I think 2 or 3 years ago, where and he was the guy, the delegate. He was insulting the other. But then harm or not, say harm or not. I see this guy. He doesn't. He's stingy. Then the guy say, oh, but last week I sorted you. It's if I. The money is not enough. This is it. And they come with a sense of entitlement.
But the politicians have encouraged this, haven't they?
All of us have encouraged it. All. You will pay your way to influence people. I'm telling you. So we don't have that money to do it. We stay in our corner and watch them.
I mean, it's of course with the Kumau. The result was expected, but I think I expected a bit more competition, especially from an independent candidate, given his showing in the last election. But it was not really a competition, and so that was expected.
But the thing is, see, Global Info Analytics, they did their projection before the elections took place, and the projections they did not take into account vote buying. How different was it from what happened?
Yeah.
The projection was almost spot on.
Yeah.
So this is what pertains on the ground. So I'm just saying that the delegates, they are taking from here with their right hand and then taking with their left hand, and then when they will use their feet to carry the rest. They are sweeping everything, and they will vote for who they have determined.
They are voting
so
for.
If you are giving them money, know that they are just stopping your money. Nothing will change. So you politician who keeps giving money, know that the people, they are taking you for a fool. I'm telling you, they are taking you for a fool because you give them the money.
By your own.
They go and do, what they want to do.
See, one we saw that said. I saw a post, I don't know whether it was true, purported to have come from Roxon. That said that they had a place where there were nine executives. And then when the results came, they had 3. I mean, if those things happened, then it's even more bizarre. Influence with money in 2023, 2024. Those of you paying money, the people are taking the money from your opponent, and they are even telling your opponent how much you give the other people. So they are blowing your cover.
Step up, your money is not big. It's not step up.
But that's happening.
Well, gentlemen,
2024, the money is going to flow again. People will pay money, sir. I'm telling you.
It's rather unfortunate. But gentlemen, thank you. Our time is up. We have to end. This has been what the papers are saying. I have been here with Selma Dono as well as Samuel Atamensa. My name is Vivian Lokko. We'll see you again next time. Goodbye.